What is up, everybody? Welcome in to the Fantasy Tap. My name is Michael, and this is John, and we are a fantasy football podcast. We have got our Thursday night, or Week 8 Thursday night preview breakdown for you. It's going to be a good one. John, you excited?
Yeah, man, I'm really excited. We got a absolutely demolished Green Bay Packers team going up against one of the best offenses in the NFL right now. Definitely a plethora of fantasy options here, especially if you're looking for some players that are boom or bust, especially when you're talking about those Packers receivers. But obviously, you're in for a good game. I think it's going to be a fun one.
Yeah, I think even without, obviously, Davante Adams and Allen Lazard are not going to be there. So plan accordingly. I think the defensive coordinator is not going to be there, if I'm not mistaken. Somebody on the one of the defensive coaches is not going to be there for the Green Bay Packers because of the same thing. So it's going to be an interesting one. It's going to be an interesting one, to say the least. It's, in my opinion, it's either going to be a blowout or the Packers are going to squeeze one out and, make them not undefeated. The Cardinals.
I think it's going to be a close one. I don't know if it's going to be a late comeback, but I do think the Cardinals are going to come out to an early lead. And we're going to see some Aaron Rodgers magic on a Thursday night game.
I hope so. As far as quarterbacks, I mean, Kyler Murray's a must start. Are you definitely starting Aaron Rodgers as well?
Yeah, I think he uses his running backs as receivers. Aaron Jones, one of the most targeted running backs in the NFL currently. And then you've obviously got A.J. Dillon to take a share of that rushing to allow Aaron Jones to stay more upbeat and not run him down too much. So I think he's still going to have a great game. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers. He can put together some magic quickly.
Yeah. And then as far as the running backs go, how do you feel? Aaron Jones is a must start. Are you considering playing A.J. Dillon this week with everybody out?
Considering it, I think he sits as a very, very weak flex option. Running backs are scarce. It's especially if he's on your roster. If you're even contemplating if you should start him, there's more than likely a problem at your running back position. So I think he can fit in as like a very, very, very weak running back too if you've got no other options.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's better options out there on the waiver for running back too. But if you need I think it'd be very difficult for me to play him. If it's a deep league, I think at that point he could, fill that spot. What about the other side? Arizona's running backs: Chase Edmonds, James Conner. Chase Edmonds getting 15 touches last week. James Conner getting 10. But James Conner getting that touchdown, which is, always a good thing.
You're definitely looking at two very viable running back / flex options for you with a little more upside than guys like A.J. Dillon, like we were just talking about. Everyone's looking at James Conner. If you're not watching the games, you're expecting, and I've been on the trend of putting him in that category of being a super touchdown dependent running back, which he kind of is, especially in fantasy. But Chase Edmonds is getting nearly as many red zone touches. James Conner's gotten 20 in the past few weeks, while Chase Edmonds gotten 14. Still 22nd highest in the league currently. I do think that Chase Edmonds does still carry some fantasy value. The problem is how explosive is the Cardinals offense going to be, because there are other names that are guaranteed some work. So is it just going to be that run game that saves Chase Edmonds' day?
Yeah, if I had to, lean one, I'm going to lean James Conner just because he's going to get the carries when it counts the most, closer to that goal line. They're in PPR. They're literally sitting at running backs 20 and 21. I think, I think both of them can be, like you said, running back 2 flex options, running back 3 options if necessary. So that's kind of where I'm at. I agree with you on those. Let's move on to the receivers. D-Hop is a must start. I think he's the only quote unquote must start this week in this game. But I do think there's going to be some other fantasy relevant options. And honestly, in my opinion, I do think AJ Green, Christian Kirk are both wide receiver 3 flex options. I think you can flex them in quite nicely.
Yeah, I'd agree with you.
Let's see. The Green Bay Packers are pretty good as far as points against for the wide receiver. But there's three of them. You got D-Hop, and then you've got AJ Green and Christian Kirk, all three viable options. Rondale Moore doesn't really interest me just because he's so boom or bust, whereas the other guys are actually getting, a consistent target share. So let's move over to probably the most questioned wide receivers and group right now in this game, and that's going to be the Green Bay wide receivers. Randall Cobb, Marquez Valdes-Scantling is a game day decision. He is traveling there, so keep an eye out on that. EQ, Equanimous St. Brown could start, week 8. Are you interested in any of those three receivers, or even like Omari Rogers or anybody like that?
I am extremely interested in Randall Cobb this week. I think that if you've got him on your team and you're looking for a flex option, he's a must flex. But it is a Thursday night game, so hopefully you're in a 3-receiver league and you can throw him in that last spot. I do think that if MVS doesn't play, Equanimous St. Brown could also have some usability as a desperate play. And then, maybe this is the breakout game for Omari Rogers. We just haven't seen enough of him yet. In the interviews leading up to it, Aaron Rodgers has talked about getting the young guys involved. So maybe that's who he's referring to.
Yeah, I'm not comfortable, playing Omari. I just don't. He hasn't been on the field. Week 1 was his highest snap percentage at 26%. Outside of that, it's been 10% or less of the snaps and only one target in the last 5 weeks. Not jumping to play him.
Well, that's the whole point, though. He's going to be getting those snaps this week. If you're gonna
maybe currently he's 5th on the depth chart. Malik Taylor is right in front of him. So he could be a sneaky, but I don't know. I think Randall Cobb, though, for sure. Randall Cobb is a very attractive name. Let's move to the tight ends. Last spot, Robert Tonyan, Zach Ertz. I think you're playing both of them. I think this is going to be I think this is 2020 Robert Tonyan.
Yeah, this is going to be his best opportunity of the season. So if you were someone that drafted him, he's a must start for you this week. And I think if you were someone that picked up Zach Ertz, unless you got Kelsey unless you have Kelsey, you play Zach Ertz this week.
I don't know. Gesicki, baby.
Oh, he's had some flashes, but he's not a guaranteed lock.
Flashes?
Zach Ertz is the closest thing to an elite tight end that we have right now.
Mike Gesicki, baby. Mike Gesicki he's currently tight end 3. Baller. I would say Mike Gesicki. But Zach Ertz is a good start. It is a good start.
Yes, sir.
Definitely in that high-powered offense should be I love this landing spot for him. Because the thing about Zach Ertz is we saw Max Williams getting involved before he got injured. He was actually becoming a semi-fantasy relevant. He had his weeks. And then boom, the injury. Zach Ertz, before he left the Philadelphia, he was getting the targets, he's getting involved, still showed that he can be a viable fantasy option there. So I love this landing spot for him, and should be on the field more. He's got another week a week now under his belt for the on that team. So should both be pretty good fantasy options. Are you interested in playing the Arizona Cardinals defense with no JJ Watt? They're currently the number 1 defense this year.
Yeah, I'm still comfortable playing them. I believe they're getting Chandler Jones back this week, correct?
Yes, they are.
Yeah. As great as JJ Watt is, I'm still very interested in him, especially with the injuries going on in Green Bay on their offense. So, or the not injuries, the viruses. So, yeah, I'm still playing them.
All right, perfect. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, that's it. Pretty quick, pretty simple. Thursday night breakdown for you guys. Who we're playing, who we're fading. So keep an eye on that. If you have any other questions, feel free to DM them or not. You can DM us on Instagram or Twitter. But you can also comment on the video below. We will answer that. Make sure you smash that like button, hit that subscribe button, and tune into our must starts, must sits, our props, picks, and parlays coming out. We've also got DFS for this week, and then, of course, the game-by-game breakdown as well. All right. Anyways, guys, thanks so much for tuning in. Love you.